Hey guys, so my name's Kelvin, aka Big Mac. I've been talking about, for those on the forums and on the Facebook pages, been talking about the issues that I've been having with the 3H, 3P airlift manifold. I had been having some issues with the manifold leaking, reverse leaking. So once the truck was aired out, it would air it up back slowly. Occasionally the truck would empty out his tanks because the intake and exhaust valve would get caught and stuck, and they would drain the tank. It was just issues all over. I searched for about 2 days probably looking for diagrams and info of people that had done it before. Apparently nobody's done it, so I figured if I have to possibly ruin my manifold to help other people, let's do it. So this is going to be the guide, the first guide that I know of on rebuilding the airlift manifold. It's for that truck right there. Hope this video is useful to everybody, and hopefully there's more videos to come. Yes, so this is the beginning of the airlift 3H 3P rebuild video. So this is a separate manifold that I'm using to guide for the first half, because the other manifold is already on the truck, and I forgot to grab a couple of the intro videos. So some of the tools that you'll need are Allen wrenches. These are the two sizes that you need. You'll need heat source. A little pick always helps. Small socket, found that 9mm works good. And then you will need this. It's a safety Torx bit. I believe the size on it is it's a T15. It's the one that has a little indentation in the tip for safety bolts. But anyways, let's get started. So just for reference, I don't take any responsibility if you mess up your parts or your valve or anything. This is just simply something that helped me, and it might help somebody else. But I in no way take responsibility for you ruining your parts or anything like that. Okay, so first thing you need to do is you need to take off these 4 bolts. But you're going to use the T15 safety bit. As you can tell, there's a little indentation up in the middle that you can't use a normal star bit. So let's go ahead and take that out. Cool. So let's go ahead and get these off. We got 1 down. It's 4 of those, 1 on each corner. So you need to make sure those come out. So now we got those off this top housing. Just gotta play with it a little bit, pry it off. You gotta kind of play with it a little bit, because kind of comes out at an angle. Be careful, because the back side is where the motherboard and everything is, so you just got to be careful when you're pulling it off. Okay, so once this is off, just put that off to the side, and just be careful. There's a lot of small parts. Try to stay organized and keep all your parts to the side. So once you get to this point, this is a little waterproof or weatherproof grommet. Just pull that off, set that off to the side. So once you're here, you're going to want to remove, there's 5 bolts, I believe it's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. They're the silver ones, not these, but just the silver ones. So you're going to undo those as far as you can before it's going to come up and try to push up against the motherboard. So just do it just enough to where it's there, and then leave it there, and I'll show you the next step. So right here, this is what I mean about only taking these bolts out right before they touch the motherboard. Pull them out. So right about there, you'll feel some resistance when it's up against it. At this point, they're still threaded in a little bit, not very much, but they're still threaded in. So it's easier obviously to do this with 2 hands, but so just pull on it a little bit. The motherboard will release a little bit more. You have a little more playroom, and then you go back in and finish unscrewing the those Allen heads the rest of the way. So there's 5 of them. So, but once those are unscrewed all the way, you can just lift up on the motherboard itself. It comes up. Be careful that you don't have any O-rings stuck onto the bottom side that you might be able to lose. So you put that off to the side, and that reveals this. So right here, this is where you start getting into the areas where everything is possible to leak. All these little O-rings are where you can have possible leaks. So so a little further, this is what this pick here is for. It's just pretty easy to take this here and pull the O-rings out like that, but you just got to be careful not to damage them like so. So I'm just gonna leave them in because this is just for education purposes. So we're here. It's 1, 2, 3, 4 on the bottom and 3 bolts on the top. All the same Allen heads, same thread pitch that we used on the top. So you just go ahead and start pulling these off one by one. Have those bolts taken off. Oh, sorry, I missed one. Let me grab that real quick. So once you have those taken off, this little rail up here, it comes off by itself. Careful, because if yours is an old manifold, these O-rings can stick to the bottom of it and it's easy to lose one. They're really easy. So you can set that off to the side. Once you have that, this little part comes off as well. Again, be careful. O-rings like to stick to the bottom side of it. So these are all your little O-rings. So I guess for the next step, I kind of have to remove a few of them just so they don't get damaged. So let me go ahead and knock out a few of these. So I went ahead and took all the O-rings off. I guess for demonstration wise, it's the proper thing to do. So now everything on top is disassembled. Now we move to the bottom side. Ooh. To the bottom side. So here, what I like to do, just to not ruin the decal, use a straight blade and just kind of walk it slowly, just to not rip it, just enough to where you get to the edge right there. So that's just me. You can rip it off for all I care, but again, not my responsibility. So we need to go ahead and take these 8 bolts out and take this cover off. Now that we have that little cap taken off, you're gonna come up to this part. There's a long O-ring that seals everything into place. Move that off to the side. So basically, these are I don't know if you would call them valves. A lot of people refer to them as like a plunger type deal. So the issue that I was running to is that you can't take them out from this side. They push inward like so, but you can't push them backwards. So how do you get them out? So after a long time of searching and everything, I found out they're a 2-piece. So they're a 2-piece setup, but how do you get them out still? So what I found out is this side is kind of like a nylon plastic. This side is an aluminum. So I was like, okay, there's got to be some sort of press fit. How do you take it out without rooting it? My idea was heat. This is where this comes in. So the thing is to apply enough heat to let the air inside the fitting expand, and it pushes it out alone. So just for demonstration wise, I'm only going to do one because this manifold is fine. There's no issues with it whatsoever. So guess we'll do just the one on the end, and or we'll do the first one, the one on the end actually. So you just kind of apply heat to it slowly. Don't let it sit on there enough to melt the plastic behind it, you know. Just, you know, give it some heat, let it cool off. Give it some heat, let it cool off a little bit. Give it some heat, let it cool off. Don't, you know, like I said, don't hold it to it. I haven't, I don't know if you can try it with a normal lighter, but there you go. It'll come off. Take your pick. That part popped off. And the backside already popped off as well. And that leaves you with this. So this right here is part of the plunger system. I don't know, valve, whatever you want to call it. This is pressed in the backside. You have an O-ring here, smaller O-ring there, and then you have the spring, which basically causes it to return back into its original place. And this is the aluminum bottom piece. So this piece has an O-ring into it, and between this part, the little lip on here, it holds it down into place, which causes a seal. So this will seal up on the bottom of this. So now the issue that I was having on the previous manifold was that this O-ring was either ripped or wasn't sealing correctly on this bottom. It was because of the previous, the builder of my truck not running water traps or anything, which it was originally intended. So there was tons of rust all in here and the seat and everything. It was just fucking disgusting. Wouldn't seat, wouldn't do anything. So once you get to this point and you can see if your leak is caused by either this O-ring, this O-ring, this O-ring, or any of these multiple little ones, all these little O-rings, well, all these, I found this pack of O-rings at AutoZone. I think this was $8. It's 150 pieces, and the one for the bottom for this little piece right here, it's actually this one right here. So it's 5/16 by 1/2 OD. This was the one that fit the best. I only got standard O-rings. Maybe metric fit better. I'm not sure, but obviously it did the trick. These, however, I haven't looked deep enough to try to get a part number or size on them, but these they come in the pack as well. These little small ones, I haven't gone to do research on where they come into. But so once you take all these out like so, you can there's no more electrical, nothing in there. You can, you know, run it in soapy water, use a pipe cleaner, clean it out nicely, and then blow it dry with a compressor, like compressed air or something. So now let's move back to the process of putting it back together. So putting it back together is pretty easy. Once you wash it and air dry, this is going to be pretty dry. What I like to do is you can either use maybe like some like, I don't know, I think on the last one I used just a little bit of Vaseline around there just to help it slide in how it's supposed to. Pause. So you take this, slide it into place. So now you have to turn it over, and what I see that helps the spring is going to try to make it retract back and forth, so it'll make it difficult to put that in. So what I found very helpful is using this socket, putting the back side of the white of the valve on the bottom side, and just pressing the whole manifold down enough to pop it open. Once that's popped open, give me 1 second. So you use the socket on the bottom, you just let it rest against the white part to expose that. You take the bottom piece with your O-ring attached to it, the fresh one, you just put it in the hole, pretty much press down hard until it clicks. And it clicks into place, and that's it. So once you have everything, all your O-rings replaced and cleaned out, and you're ready for reassembly, and then after that is just pretty much reinstalling everything from the beginning back. So you install your O-ring, make sure there's no debris in it. This only goes one way. Put it in and put your bolts in, your countersunk bolts. So you got the the bottom part assembled, done. Then you just move to your top part, reinsert all your O-rings on the bottom, and then you follow back into the next. So now that you have all your O-rings back in, you take your main plate, set it down on. Then you take this little rail type deal, set it on right here. Go ahead and just reinstall all your screws. So now you're to this point. Again, just double check all your O-rings, make sure that everything's in the correct position. These bolts don't tighten them down crazy. You don't want to have them in there torqued down and shit. So when you're redoing this, make sure that everything's correctly. These little tips go into the little holes on the top rows, so just make sure that everything lines up correctly. Set it down and just push it down slightly till it kind of goes into place. You'll feel it. So once everything's down, just make sure you tighten up your 5 bolts up here, or 5 screws. Everything's down. Tighten them. Just make sure you didn't leave any screws or anything floating around. Take a cover, inspect the O-ring, make sure everything's okay, no debris in there. Slide it on from the front side first. Be careful not to bend or damage the connection pins. Set it down. Now you can reinstall your bolts that hold it down. And there you have it, guys. So once everything's assembled, last thing to do is you take your little grommet, slide it into place, make sure that all the pins are back in their proper place. It can sometimes be a little tricky, that's why this little pick comes into play. You can kind of push it how it's supposed to go in, and just push it down, try to go evenly. You see the pins starting to come through, and then you can just take the flat part of the Allen wrench and just push it down on each side all the way down till it sits flush. And that's pretty much it, guys. I mean, I hope that this information is gonna help people. I know there wasn't very many people that were doing this. If any at all. There was no information, no diagrams, nothing. So hopefully this helps a lot of people with the same system that are having similar issues like I was having. And yeah, there you go, guys. Just share this to your air-ride friends or people that need it, and just subscribe and we'll go from there.
So we just installed the manifold. It was building air. So far, manifold is it is at 198 psi. PSI is stable all the way around. No leaking, nothing whatsoever. I mean, it's good. So I'm gonna go ahead and air it out slowly by presets. And so again, the issue that I was having was that at low, I don't want to say low RPM, but when it was aired all the way out, the truck would leak and air back up. And it was pretty big increments, like over the course of a few hours. This corner in particular would go up to as far as, I want to say like 70 something psi. The only one that didn't move was that one. So before, by now, it would already start climbing. It would start climbing very quickly. It wouldn't stay down. So I mean, I'll take 1 or 2 psi in there. That is fine. Because before, I mean, it would probably be at 20 psi by now already. And it have issues where the intake valve and the exhaust valve would almost get stuck with each other, and it would drain the tank. But I mean, I would call this a success, guys. I mean, if I can do it with basic tools in my kitchen, I mean, pretty sure y'all can. But there it is, guys. It worked.